Okay, so I think I messed up the last video. I'm going to attempt to record while I am cutting potatoes and give you guys a health update. Um, we'll start in 2021. That's when I found out I was sick. I had gotten my second COVID shot in March. And, they tell you that you may have, symptoms while you're sick, blah, 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 blah. So that's what I thought it was. And it ended up to where, and like I said in my earlier video, back when I put it into perspective, like when I think about things, there were signs. My legs had swollen up so bad, and they were, literally leaking water, and it was hard for me to walk. I had to stop. I couldn't walk from my house to the garage without stopping it to take a break because I was just so winded all the time. So the signs were there. But it ended up where I threw the adult kids, they were adults by then, a birthday party. And Isabel was pregnant at the time with Jaden. And so I made this dinner that they all like horchatas. And basically I made the food and I went right to bed. And that's not normal for me. That's not something that I would have done. So Isabel was like, you need to go to the hospital. You need to go to the ER. Craig needs to take you to the hospital. So they kept getting on my case about going to the hospital. So finally I gave in and I decided to go to the ER because by then I was pretty much, like I said, bedridden by then. I couldn't, excuse me, I have to take a drink and yes, it's a Mountain Dew because it's my Mountain Dew time. So I get to the ER and, I'm telling him my symptoms and how sick I am and, blah, blah, blah. Hi, sweetie, what's wrong? So I tell them my symptoms, they take blood, urine, they do all the normal testing, and I'm laying there and Craig's sitting there with me, and all of a sudden, 5 or 6 nurses, come rushing in my room with, an IV and another IV kit to put another IV in me because I had already had one, and it was just, fast, rushing around, and we're kind of like, well, what's going on, because at first they didn't tell us, they're just, rushing around hooking me up to all this stuff. And then, some people came in and they were like, do you know what blood type you are, blah, blah, blah. And so then by then we found out that I needed to have a transfusion. My hemoglobin, normal for a woman, is 15. I was at a 4. So the nurse was pretty much like, well, you're lucky you came in when you did because you probably would have died overnight. Okay. So I have the transfusion, and then they got to figure out, well, why is my hemoglobin low? What's going on? I'm obviously losing blood somewhere. So they did a CAT scan or whatever, and they ended up they had to do an endoscopy. So they admitted me, obviously, because I needed a transfusion and everything was serious. So I went to the ICU. And then while I was in there, they gave me the endoscopy. And while they did the endoscopy, they found out that I had bleeding varices. And that's where the bleeding was coming from. It wasn't a horrible bleed, but it was enough to make my hemoglobin drop. So we're like, okay, well, whatever. Where am I getting these varices from? What's going on? How did I get these? We're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So they're still doing all this testing while I was at a smaller hospital near my house, where I lived. And they were like, we can't handle what's going on with you. You're in the ICU. You need to be in the ICU. So we need to send you to the bigger hospital, which is this is a sister hospital. So they sent me to the main bigger hospital, and that's when, shit got serious. Again, I was in the ICU and needing transfusions, and they tied off the varice and CAT scans, everything. It ended up, they found out that I had cirrhosis of the liver, and that I was already stage 4 and end-stage liver disease. And I'm like, this all happened within a 3-day span. I had thrombocytopenia, I had anemia, it was just bad. Everything was just bad. So they started taking care of the anemia. They gave me iron, they were transfusing me. they started giving me medications for my liver, for my portal vein, because obviously I had the varices, and that's caused by high blood pressure in the portal vein. It makes your varices swell up because they have to pump blood. That's easy. So they have to pump blood, and the blood is over pumping in that in the portal vein, and so the varices burst. Now, I don't drink. I didn't drink before that. You guys know, if you watched my previous vlogs, that like New Year's Eve, we would have pizza parties and have like tens and billions of kids over, and we just weren't drinkers. So it's like, well, how did I get this liver disease? Because my father, who was an alcoholic and died of liver disease, and who suffered for many years, he had it, and we're like, well, how did I get it? Because, like I said, I'm not a drinker. So I have what they call NASH. You can look it up. It's non-alcoholic steatho something or other. I can't pronounce the name. That's the big name for it, but it's basically non-alcoholic liver disease. It's a fairly new thing, I guess. It's been in the past 10, 15 years, they said, that more and more people are getting it. More and more non-drinkers are getting it. Sometimes it's related to your body. Sometimes it's related to a fatty liver. They call it fatty liver disease, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's caused by medications, like ibuprofen, certain antibiotics, stuff like that. So, basically, that's what you can get it from. We think that I got it. I think that I got it from being on ibuprofen for so many years. I had a previous doctor, which was in a different, medical group, because there's, two different, medical groups here. And I'm in another one now. I'm in the good one. And I was in the other one before. And he was prescribing me 800 milligram ibuprofens 3 times a day for, 20 years. Because I had such bad knees, and then pain medication when I needed it. And then I had I think in previous vlogs, I had said I had that major surgery in the Philippines because I had diverticulosis, and I ended up with diverticulitis, and my colon ruptured in the Philippines, and my appendix ruptured, and I almost died there too. So I had a big major surgery. I have a big scar that goes from right under my breastbone all the way down to my pubic area. I had 62 staples. This is all in the Philippines. PTSD, horribly, because I'm still dealing with it now. I have a big issue with new doctors, big trust issues with doctors right now, which I'm working on through therapy, finally, because they basically said, that if things happen, if they go bad, which they could at any time because I'm end stage, things are going to happen fast, and new doctors are going to come in, and they don't want me to freak out and refuse treatment because I don't know who the doctor is. So therapy is helping me work on my PTSD from almost dying in another country and just having so many medical issues. I've had cancer in my cervix, so I had to have a full hysterectomy, everything, so it's I dealt with lymphoma. When I first found out I was sick, not only did I have the end-stage liver disease, they found spots of lymphoma, which I had to take chemo for. You notice I used to have really long, dark hair. Don't anymore. I was bald. My hair was falling out, so I didn't really have a choice. But now it's growing back finally. But I am doing infusions again. Not chemo, but infusions. And I'm they're like, no, your hair's not going to fall out. And I'm like, I hope not. So we'll see. It hasn't so far. But anything could happen at any time because my body is just an asshole. And excuse my language, you're going to hear me say some naughty things sometimes. Yes, baby, what? Sarah's making a video. So go ride your scooter over there, okay? Thank you. He's so sweet. He's so polite. So, yeah. So, it's been quite a lot these last 3 years. It's been a very huge roller coaster. I've had so many things happen. What, honey? You're just calling my name to call my name? Yeah. So I ended up one time with cellulitis, so bad that they had to treat me like a burn patient, both legs. Now both of my legs are really horribly scarred. My legs used to be so pretty, and now they're so ugly. So I had that. I was in the ICU for that. I've had quite a few GI bleeds. We found out that I have two of the worst complications. Well, I have a lot of complications, but I have the varices, the esophageal varices, and I also am prone to hepatic encephalopathy, which basically is these toxins build up on your body if you don't go to the bathroom regularly, or because your liver isn't working properly, the toxins can't properly move to where they need to go. So they end up going to your brain, and you end up becoming cuckoo. I shouldn't say cuckoo. That's kind of like, I don't want to be rude or anything to anybody else that has gone through or is going through what I'm going through, because that's not the case. Your brain doesn't function properly. You're confused. You're this, you're that. I lost a big chunk of time with a massive GI bleed. I lost 3 days that I didn't know. I don't remember anything, what happened. I remember certain things. Like I remember we went up north for Memorial Day. This was last year, and we went camping, and then I came home, and one morning, I started puking up blood, and Isabel came down, and she pretty much saved my life because I was on my back when I was throwing up this blood. Just puking buckets of blood, and they're garbage cans, little garbage cans full of blood. And they, both my son, Sky, and Chris were on the phone with 911 and getting 911 there. So Chris came with me to the hospital, and Craig drove down, and Chris was pretty scarred from the incident because it was a massive bleed. I had one massive varice and 4 other medium-sized varices that were just going at it. And basically, I remember showing up in the emergency room. I remember them telling me that I needed to stay awake. I remember Craig coming, and then I remember him rubbing my head a little bit, and then I remember I was throwing up more blood, and finally they were taking me to endoscopy to tie off the varices or whatever, and they were literally running down the hall, I remember, and the lady's like, you have to stay awake, you have to stay awake, you have to stay awake, you have to stay awake. And I remember going in this cold room, and I remember it's crazy. I remember certain things, like the tube coming out of my throat, and they were like, you have to breathe. And then I remember seeing a tube coming at me, and then I don't remember anything else until 3 days later. So apparently they had to intubate me. They had to resuscitate me because I stopped breathing in there because I was losing massive amounts of blood. They were pouring blood into me as I'm losing it, So that was not cool. I remember bits and pieces of the 3 days. I remember some doctors coming in and talking to me. And then I remember when I was finally kind of coherent, I'm I told the nurse I need somebody to advocate for me because I can't do it. I'm not mentally here, not only did I have the encephalopathy, but I was also on pain medications, and so I was loopy. I was just drugged up and out of it. So I needed, somebody to advocate for me because I didn't understand what some of these doctors were saying to me, so that was not fun. Then the next month, again, I went up north, and I came home, and I ended up with some kind of blister on right under my knee, and in like one night, it just like grew to this huge like bubble on my leg, and I go to the emergency room, and you know, they're like, we have to take you to surgery because we don't know what it is, you know, and it's huge. And so, you know, as they're getting me all prepped up, the thing pops. They still did surgery. They ended up having to remove, you know, a lot of the infection that was in there. I believe it was staph or MRSA, one of the two, that I had. And then I was septic because, you know, I didn't go to the hospital right away. I shouldn't say I didn't go to the hospital right away, because I did go to the hospital right away, but for some reason my body reacts to these things, and it reacts very fast. Like the same thing with the encephalopathy. I'll be fine 1 minute and then confused as fuck the next minute. You know, it's really crazy how things creep up on me so fast. So I ended up having to have surgery again, pain medications, loopy, needing somebody to advocate for me because, you know, I had this huge hole in my knee that they didn't stitch up. They kept open, you know, and I had to be in wound care for months and months and months, you know, for the thing to close. So then, like, the next month, right after that, I literally had just gotten out of the hospital, pretty much, and I go walking with my grandson and my daughter, and I hit a pothole in the middle of the street because I walk with a walker now, because I can't walk without assistance because I'm a very huge fall risk. So, yeah, so I ended up hitting this pothole, and the metal part on my brake dug into my leg and put a nice gouge in it, and I'm, you know, obviously I have a blood disorder, so I'm bleeding like crazy. You know, I ended up, you know, I was putting pressure on. I know what to do because I took the calls. You know, I work for an ambulance company, blah, blah, blah. You know, if somebody calls you bleeding, you know, you put pressure on it. And then I ended up I just so happened to have Coban on me, which is like this wrap that they used to use for my wound. So I wrapped Coban around it to use it as a tourniquet. The ambulance ended up coming, my work ended up coming and rushing me to the hospital, and I ended up, they were like, well, you're in wound care, so you can just have your wound care nurse look at this when she comes on Monday, and she can take care of it then. So they discharged me from the emergency room, and they didn't clean it, they didn't do anything like that, they just left it be, and I had like this black piece of skin that you could tell was obvious dirt, you know, and I'm trying to clean it, and it's an open, huge wound. So that was on a Friday. Excuse me. By Monday, I was septic in the emergency room. The wound care nurse came, had to call 911. Had to get the ambulance there again. So then that was another hospital stay. I was in total in the hospital last summer 5 times. No shit. 5 times. So I've been doing pretty good since then. I haven't had a GI bleed since June. I haven't had encephalopathy since the same time, June. I've been making sure that I keep up on my medications and everything that I need to do to make sure that I'm staying healthy. But, you know, things happen, and the reason why I had that huge GI bleed was because I was put on blood thinners. I had a blood clot in my portal vein, and this was last year. And they put me on blood thinners to get rid of the blood clot, and they ended up making me have this huge GI bleed. So now, we just found out in the past couple weeks that I have another blood clot right now that is more significant than the last one that I had. And my transplant doctor does not want to put me on blood thinners again because of what happened last year when I was on blood thinners. So she decided to take my case to the tumor transplant board, whatever, to see what the other doctors thought, what she should do. I mean, she's not a stupid doctor. She's an awesome doctor, and it's sad that I have to find a new doctor now because I built a lot of trust in her in these last 3 years, and now she's leaving, and I have to get a new doctor, and I'm not liking that very much, hence therapy. So they finally called me, and I have a consult on Monday for interventional radiology to have the TIPS procedure done, which is they put a stent or whatever in your portal vein to help the blood flow easier. This way I won't get so many clots and all that. So the good side of that, from what I know right now, I won't know any more until the consult on Monday, but the good side from that, from what I hear, is it can extend my life expectancy without a transplant for 5 years. Right now, I have been given 2 years without a transplant. I am trying to go to a bigger transplant facility. The hospital that I go to right now, they don't do partial transplants, which is where, like, if one of my kids matched me, they could give me a piece of their liver, and that's called a partial transplant. A full transplant is when you get, a liver from, somebody that has died, or, that is dying or whatever. So they only do full transplants at the hospital that I'm at right now. And they referred me to UW-Madison, which is a bigger transplant hospital, and they do partials there. But the thing is my insurance won't cover me to see 2 specialists at the same time. And I can't drop my doctors here because I don't live out there. I live here, and I need to have my medical care here. Even if I do have a partial out there, I mean, obviously I would have to have some medical care out there, but my main majority medical care is here. So that is one of the issues that can be worked out. Whatever we need to do, we'll figure that out. The other issue is travel and, lodging, and they don't provide a place to stay, and they want you up there for, a week at a time to do all this testing, because they're not going to go by what my testing says here. They want their own testing done. So, I was doing raffles and fundraisers, but I canceled the fundraiser that I was doing because nobody participated. And, when I did a raffle, only a few people participated. So it was like, why bother? I'm not gonna ask anymore for help. I've been asking. This is what I need to go. Can somebody help? Can you donate? Do you want to do a raffle? I had prizes. I had autographed picture of Devon Dudley from the Dudley Boys. I have a WWE t-shirt from them. Color Street stuff. Bunch of stuff I had for them. But, and then I was doing an enchilada dinner plate. That's the one I canceled because nobody ordered. So that is one of the issues that I'm having right now, is I want to test to see if I can get a partial done and maybe have, I've had some friends offer to test for me, and I also have my kids, too, that, would be willing to test too. So that's what we're trying to work on, as much as we can. I mean, I had to cancel my first appointment out there, and now they have other appointments open, but I'm not going to make one just to cancel it. I'm going to wait till I have the actual money to go, and then say, okay, here, because I can only go on certain days. So, yeah, go put them back on now, baby. Go put them back on. So, yeah, we'll have to figure that out and see what we can do and go from there. That's the best I can do right now. I'm going to have the procedure done and hope that, like I said, I'll find out more on Monday when I go to the consultation, what to expect, the pros and cons and whatever, and, we'll go from there. Right now, I'm just trying to live. day by day, taking my medications, going to my appointments, doing my infusions, doing what I need to do to survive. So that's where I'm at right now. It's been a long ride. It's been a really long ride, and it's still a long ride, and it's still going to be a long ride. And I'm hoping to document that here on my vlog, my journey to a new liver. Hopefully, my success. I don't want to fail. I want to be able to see my grandson grow up and see other grandchildren and see my children get married. I have 3 kids that don't have kids. Or what if they have a kid? Or what if my daughter ends up having another baby? I want to be here for that. I want to be here for everything. Right now, we're doing what we can to make memories. And I don't want to have to do that. And that's what we're doing. There's a song that Blink-182 just released. Mark Hoppus, he had lymphoma, and he wrote a song about chemotherapy. And in that song it says, "Stuck in life's waiting room." And it's funny because it's true. Like the transplant department here where I go, they call it purgatory where I am right now. I'd rather say stuck in life's waiting room than purgatory. So when I told that to my transplant psychologist, he wrote it down. He's like, I like that too. I like that better than purgatory. So that's what I call it, is just being stuck in life's waiting room. You gotta wait, see what's gonna happen, how life's gonna go for you. I'm 46 years old. I'm not ready to go yet. I am in palliative care. They keep me comfortable as much as they can, which is good. I love my palliative care nurse. He is amazing. He's awesome. I couldn't complain about him. I've had him for almost 3 years now. My oncologist, hematologist, I've had him for 3 years. I met him when I had my first transfusion. So I'm a transplant doctor again. I had for 3 years. So I've had all of my doctors long term. So I have this trust built in. Even my primary doctor, is in there. I love my primary doctor too. He is just amazing. Amazing. He is just amazing. That's all I can say. So again, having to find a new transplant doctor is pretty rough on me. Hence why I saw the transplant psychologist, and now he's working on having me get in to listening therapy or something it's called. I forgot what it's called. And other kind of hands-on type therapy. Like I said, they're telling me, if things go down south, things are going to happen fast, and we can't have you refusing treatment because you're scared. We need to save your life. That's what we're here for. So, and I agree. I want them to save my life. I don't want to die, so, yeah, I guess if you guys have any questions or comments or concerns, or you want to add any advice or send good vibes, blessings, I could use them all. So I had a GoFundMe page, but it got reported. I've had some issues with some people that are assholes, which is fine. It is what it is. I can't let that bother me anymore. I don't have a GoFundMe page anymore. Now I just do Cash App and Venmo. I have a TikTok. You're more than welcome to find me on TikTok and add me on TikTok. I do little funny videos sometimes, or I do updates, and now I'll be uploading updates here probably in shorts or whatever. I do have a Facebook page. It's my liver updates page. It's connected with my Bonarchy 7 page as well as my personal page. I don't think you guys will get updates from that, because that's something I would have to add people to, because I do provide my medical records. I post my medical records on there, like notes from the doctor, like progress notes or, just notes from my appointments and blood results, and I get alcohol tested, which is fine because I don't drink, so I'm not worried about it. I joked around with a nurse one time. She was doing it, and I said, damn, I shouldn't have drank that bottle of tequila last night. And she looked at me seriously, and I was like, oh, maybe that's something I shouldn't joke about. So I learned my lesson on that one. But yeah, so Instagram, I'm also on Instagram too. Feel free to add me. Like I said, then you can see updates and everything that I have going on. Sometimes I do post stuff on, my pages or TikTok or whatever, to show people what's going on or whatever. It's rare, but I do it. So you're more than welcome to, like I said, find me on those platforms and add me and get updates. And if you like this video, just give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. If you're old, welcome back, and thank you for watching the video, and we've missed you. And hopefully in the coming weeks I'll be making more videos, update videos and stuff like that, and whatever questions people have or whatever, I can do a Q&A, and I don't know, something like that. I try to remember what to do. I want to go live. I want to start going live on TikTok. I have enough subscribers now so I can go live. It's just a matter of having an audience. I don't really want to. I'm nervous about it. I'm so nervous. It's one thing to make a video, but it's another thing to go live. So anyway, like I said, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and let me know any questions, comments, concerns. I love you guys. I missed you guys. And it's a sad story, but I'm going to make it. I'm going to fight, and I have everybody that's on my side and sending me good vibes and prayers and helping and doing whatever, they can to, do whatever. So, I appreciate that from everybody. And if you start doing so, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Again, I hope you guys are having a great night. See you later.